To our own generation, John Paul II, San Giovanni Rotondo, May 23, 1987.
The ecstasies and apparitions of Francesco Forgione began at the age of 5, when he first had the feeling and the thought of dedicating himself forever to the Lord. And they continued. There was nothing special about Francesco. He was just like all the other boys his age. He did, however, have a very reserved character.
And who are you?
I am your guardian angel.
Hello, Uncle.
Hello, Francesco. Your mother said to buy some bread before you return home.
Okay. On Sunday, I'll come after Mass to see you.
Good. I'll have some sweets for you.
See you Sunday. Bye.
I came over to see you. Where were you?
I took a walk.
I wanted to ask you, will you take me to pasture the sheep tomorrow?
We'll meet at the Piano Romana.
At 8?
Yeah, 8.
what nice flowers. Who are they for? Do you have a girlfriend? Francesco.
Francesco had ecstasies and visions so frequently that he thought they were ordinary, that happened to everyone.
Are you the Son of God? Death, death to the Nazarene. Crucify him to death. Death, the King of the Jews. Death, the King of the Jews.
I waited for you all day. Why didn't you come?
I forgot. Listen, Luigi, I want to ask you something, but you promise not to tell anyone?
Yeah, okay. You can trust me. What is it?
Have you seen the Madonna?
The Madonna?
Not
What?
even Jesus.
Francesco, you should spend more time with me. Oh, look down there. It's so tall.
Why do you say no? Humility? Tell me.
What's wrong, Francie? Bye.
When it's a case of our Lord's work, no one can stay tranquil, and no one can stop it, not even in this congregation.
Yes, I understand, even if there's something that is still unclear to me. Excellency, thank you for seeing me.
Un grido di invocazione alla coscienza del mondo, al senso di responsabilità dei dirigenti nella politica e nella pubblica economia, all'umana comprensione e alla mutua generosità dei popoli.
When will you return?
I don't know. I'll be away for a few days. I have work for the paper.
Quanti sono capaci di elevarsi al di sopra dei contrasti di pensiero, di imporre silenzio ai rancori nati dalla guerra e hanno conservato la mente e il cuore aperti.
Excuse me, is it far to San Giovanni Rotondo?
8 kilometers. Going to see Padre Pio?
Yes, exactly.
But with this car, you'll never get there. You'll need to leave it in the country because the road isn't finished. There's still work to do.
Okay, thanks.
Goodbye.
We'll get there one way or another. I thought I'd find good weather here.
It was good until the other day. Of course, a bit of rain would be good, especially for the plants. Here, look at the poor trees close to death. The Gargano is a dry land and difficult to cultivate. Believe me, sir, but here only rocks grow.
But these places are mystical. It reminds me a bit of the mountains of Judea.
You told me that you were going to San Giovanni Rotondo, right? It's a small town with poor folks. And 2 kilometers further down the road, you'll find the monastery of the Capuchins.
I see.
Until a while ago, there was only a mule path to get there.
But for San Giovanni Rotondo, it was a stroke of good luck when on July 28, 1916, a humble monk named Padre Pio arrived from Pietrelcina.
I wouldn't call it luck that Padre Pio came, but a gift of God to all the world. Wait till you meet him.
I really hope to see him.
There's always a crowd.
Thank you.
Thanks for the ride, and good luck with your work.
Hope all goes well. Goodbye. Good morning.
Peace and goodwill.
I have an appointment with Father Agostino.
Father is not here. Proceed on this path and knock on that door up ahead. You'll find him there.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Peace and goodwill.
I'm Ettore Rossi. I have an appointment with Father Agostino.
You're the journalist Father Agostino told me about. I'm Father Raffaele. Come in.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Good morning, Father.
It's still early.
Excuse
Wait
me,
in the
I need
church.
Padre Pio is always here?
Of course. He never leaves the monastery.
But they say that he was seen in Rome and in other cities. How is it possible if he never leaves the monastery?
Everything they say about Padre Pio is true.
Excuse me,
Come. He's over here.
could you tell me more about him?
Thanks to the bilocation phenomenon, Padre Pio is able to manifest himself in 2 different places at the same time. In one place, with the body, and the other with the spirit, clothed, however, in the corporal image, identical to the real body, and with the same functioning powers, such as speaking, being visible, and also eating.
You mean in 2 different places at the same moment?
Yes, exactly. How else could Padre Pio manifest himself in distant Uruguay in 1941 without having left San Giovanni Rotondo, or be present in Rome, in Perugia, or anywhere else in the world?
I understand. By location.
Here, wait here. I'll go tell Father Agostino.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Father Agostino.
Peace and goodwill. I had thought that our appointment was for tomorrow.
Yes, it was, but it took me less time to get here than I thought. After the war, most streets were paved.
I understand. You see, Mr. Rossi, I am not used to receiving journalists. You are the first and the last. If I agreed to receive you, it's because I want to clear up some rumors that have appeared recently in the press regarding Padre Pio. Some are outright lies. However, as I promised you, I prepared some biographical notes on the life of Padre Pio.
Thank you very much. This will help to clear up certain misunderstandings.
You see, Mr. Rossi, there are many people who talk and write about Padre Pio without ever having been here at San Giovanni Rotondo, without ever having met the Father. And this I am sorry to say, I find it very irresponsible.
May I?
Yes. But read it very carefully.
Padre Pio was born on Wednesday, May 25th, 1887, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in a modest house in old Pietrelcina, a charming village not far from Benevento, in the heart of Campania. His father, Grazio Forgione, known as Zigrazio, got his mule every morning before dawn and went to the country. At night, after a hard day of work, he returned home with some fruit from the fields to cheer up the family meal. His mother, Maria Giuseppa D'Annunzio, was a good housewife, affectionate, very pious. She fetched water at the Madunella fountain several times a day. At night, she got up to make bread and cheese. The Forgione house, small, simple, with stone walls, had only the essentials, without any comforts and nothing superfluous. Here, Padre Pio was born, second of 5 living children. The other 3 children had already died at a tender age. When was he baptized?
The day after he was born, with the name Francesco, in a parish church of Pietrelcina.
Like Francis of Assisi?
Yes, because the parish of Pietrelcina was dedicated, like Porziancola, to St. Mary of the Angels, where St. Francis created the nucleus of the Franciscan family.
Could you tell me something? How was Padre Pio as a boy?
A simple, naive boy. A pure soul.
Hello, Francesco.
Oh, hello, Luigi.
What are you doing?
I'm reading.
So you won't be needing this?
Oh, come on, give me the cap. Come on, give it back. It was a gift from my father. Put it down. It was a gift from my father.
I always tell Don Giuseppe that our Francesco isn't like the others. He is like the others, only a bit of a dreamer. And I tell you that this little boy will be a monk. Monk. To become a monk, one needs a lot of money.
Will you let him grow up? He's still a child. And without Tisani, he won't learn anything.
This soup is good, Mama. I'm very hungry.
Even Don Giuseppe says it would be good for him to be a monk.
France, what happened to you? You're crying.
It's nothing.
Oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. Do me a favor, Francesco. Go get me a cigar. Take this.
Brother Camillo would periodically come down from Morcone to Pietrelcina. Padre Pio said that the beard of Brother Camillo remained always vivid in his mind, and nothing could take it away.
Have a good day.
Hello, Brother Camilo.
Did you go to church?
I have to buy something.
Returning with the cigar, Francesco discovered what smoking was. He lit the cigar, took the first puff, and found his stomach turning and the ground spinning. From then on, he never touched a cigar.
Francesco, you feel okay?
Yes.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Come in.
Dr. Sanguinetti has arrived.
Thanks. Let him in. Padre Pio is planning to build a hospital. 3 of his spiritual sons are helping him with this project. One of is Dr. Sanguinetti, and you will meet him soon. The others are a pharmacist, Carlo Chisvarde, and the agronomist Mario Sanbico.
A hospital here, Father? Between these mountains? With no light, no water? It's impossible. Maybe crazy.
Yes, right here.
But who is this Dr. Sanguinetti?
Dr. Guglielmo Sanguinetti? He's from Parma. Before he came here, he was a Freemason, a priest-hater, an atheist. In 1940, he decided to accompany his wife, a very religious woman, who wanted to meet Padre Pio. However, he said he would only do the driving because he had no interest in Padre Pio. Sunday morning, after Mass, his wife went into the sacristy with all of the other faithful to see the priest walk by. And he followed her, mostly out of curiosity, I imagine. And it was there in the middle of the group of believers that Padre Pio approached him and said,
Guglielmo, you must come here and help me build a large hospital.
Oh, it's impossible, Padre Pio. I'm retired and I don't even have the savings to build myself a house to live in. I'm sorry.
You have the documents that will solve your problems.
When he got back to Parma, he found out that he had made a large sum of money with various treasury bonds that he had for some time. So he moved here and built a house, and from then on he began his collaboration with Padre Pio.
They spoke to me about the construction of a new church.
Yes, come in.
Peace to you, Father.
Dr. Sanguinetti, I present to you Ettore Rossi, the journalist from Rome.
Pleased to meet you.
My pleasure.
Come in.
We were just talking about the construction of the hospital.
No, for now, there's only a plan. The hospital is a big dream of Padre Pio, a dream that could become a reality very soon.
So tell me, who is the architect that is planning the construction?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mr. Rossi. He is not a true and experienced professional. His name is Angelo Lupi, and he comes from Pescara. He's neither an engineer nor an architect, nor even a surveyor. And yet, his design, as soon as Padre Pio saw it, he accepted it and put him in charge to get the work done.
It is always very difficult, not to mention the enormous costs.
I think so. At the moment, the figures are not in. But I can assure you, however, that thousands and thousands of followers from every corner of the world are ready to contribute their resources as long as it's built quickly.
But it'll take a long time, and there'd be some large contributions?
Yes, of course. There is a journalist, Barbara Ward, an expert in economics, who I believe writes for The Economist, correct?
This woman, while visiting Rome, had heard a lot about Padre Pio. She is a good Catholic and asked for a meeting, after which she returned to America. There, with the help of her fiancé and through the interest of the American government, she was able to obtain a large sum from the UNRWA.
UNRWA.
To complete this Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza. It is all I can tell you, Mr. Rossi.
You've told me a lot, and I would like to see you again.
Whenever you want, any time. I'm always here at San Giovanni Rotondo.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was a great pleasure to meet you, Dr. Sanguinetti.
My pleasure.
Father Agostino, when could we meet again to continue our conversation?
I would say Sunday morning at 8, after Padre
Yes,
Pio's
certainly.
Mass, naturally.
So, Sunday morning. Thank you. Until
Have
Sunday.
a good day.
Father, would you allow me a question?
Why? Can't you see that I'm praying?
Just one question, Father. Is there really a plan for the construction of the hospital for the poor?
In every sick person, there is Jesus suffering. And in the poor who are sick, Jesus suffers twice. That's why we must do something. A temple of prayer and science, where all humankind will rediscover themselves like Jesus on the cross.
But here, Father, there's nothing. It'll take a miracle.
"3 years without confession, without sacraments. It is terrible. It is terrible. Do it right away."
It's true. It's true.
Yes, unfortunately, it's true.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. These are my sins.
My son, you don't remember anything else?
No, nothing else, Father.
Let's see. Try to remember.
Father, I feel very confused. I have wanted to meet you for a long time.
My son, yesterday you arrived in Bologna at 5 o'clock in the morning. The churches are closed at that hour. So instead of waiting, you went to the hotel to relax a bit before Mass. You laid on the bed, and you fell asleep so soundly, only to wake up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But by that time, it was too late to celebrate Mass. Yes, I know you didn't do it maliciously, but it was a negligence that hurt our Lord.
Already at the age of 5, little Francesco was developing the desire to dedicate his life to God. One day, he told his father,
Dad, I want to become a monk.
Which do you want to be? A Benedictine monk?
No, the ones with the beards.
The news was good, but it caused problems. In those days, it was hard to support a vocation.
Giuseppina, Francesco's vocation costs us 5 liras a month for the teacher, and even more money to buy his books. We can't afford this. So I have decided to go to America to work. I will return when I have saved enough money.
But America is so far away.
But if this is what the Lord wants, we must do it.
He left for the United States, where he found work on a farm.
Daddy, is America far away?
Yes, a little.
Is it farther than Naples?
Yes, it's a bit farther. Now you are the head of the family. Obey your mother. Help her. And take care of your brothers.
Dad, come home soon.
Dad, I love you.
In the boy's soul, the desire grew to dedicate his life to God. On the morning of January 6, 1903, Francesco knocked on the door of the Morcone Friary, house of novices, to ask to join the Capuchin family.
My son, my heart is torn. However St. Francis calls, and you must follow.
He became a deacon on July 18, 1909. Finally, on August 10, 1910, in the Benevento Cathedral, he was ordained by Monsignor Paolo Schinosi. Come in.
Excuse me, a woman brought this letter for you.
Thank you.
Dear Mr. Rossi, I was going to send you the testimony that you asked me to compile for the work that you have begun on Padre Pio. Last night I found out that you had arrived at San Giovanni Rotondo. For when we meet, I enclose my modest writing. I was born in the United States in New Jersey on April 17, 1888, to James Tolman Pyle and Adeline McAlpin, a middle-class American couple. My maternal grandparents were the owners of the McAlpin Hotel in New York City. I was still little when my family moved to New York. I was baptized as a Protestant by my parents with the name Adelia. They were Presbyterians from New England. One day, I met an Italian doctor, Maria Montessori.
Oh, yes, Montessori.
Creator and developer of a revolutionary method of child education. She offered me a job, and I accepted. And so we began a long series of trips around the world.
No wonder you speak so many languages. Tell me about your conversion to Catholicism.
All these trips to numerous European cities offered me the occasion to develop Christian ideas and Catholic culture. And so in 1913, in Spain, Barcelona to be exact, I decided to be baptized by a Capuchin monk.
And there you took the name Maria?
Yes. My mother, my brothers, and also my sister were very much opposed to me leaving the Protestant religion at that time. On October 3rd, 1923, I knocked on the door of San Giovanni Rotondo Monastery. Padre Pio placed his stigmatized hand on my head, and I heard his voice for the first time.
My child, rest here. Stop wandering the world. We need you.
Father, bless me.
And you remained here and had a house built near the monastery, isn't that right?
Yes. It quickly became the refuge of everyone. All the homeless wanderers without a roof and without money came here. It was in this house that Padre Pio's mother died in 1929. And a few weeks ago, his father, assisted by the stigmatized son, died after a long illness.
A seminary was also built here in Pietrelcina.
Yes, and I can't tell you how many problems it caused. And they still continue.
I don't understand. I just don't understand how so many obstacles appeared in the work of this saintly man.
It was always so for the saints, don't you think? Come in.
Padre Pio performed a miracle.
What happened? Come in. Oh, excuse me. I present to you Mr. Rossi, a journalist.
The same.
pleasure.
I'm very honored. But tell me what happened.
The lawyer, Cesare Festa, entered the church this morning. He's the cousin of Dr. Festa, who studied the stigmata of Padre Pio.
What are you doing here? Are you a Freemason?
Yes.
And what is the duty of a Freemason?
Combating the church from the political point of view.
Yeah. Come. Allow me to tell you the parable of the prodigal son.
After a while, the man left crying.
Incredible. A Freemason who abjures.
If you only knew how many conversions have occurred here with Padre Pio. I remember that of Federico Ricciardi.
Would you mind telling me?
Dr. Ricciardi was a medical doctor at San Giovanni Rotondo, a convinced atheist who defamed Padre Pio. In 1928, they diagnosed him with a stomach tumor. His medical colleagues, the specialists, announced a definitive sentence. He had only a few weeks to live. Padre Pio decided to go and find his irreducible enemy. He entered the house, and the two sat alone for a long time. At the end of the encounter, Dr. Ricciardi, crying, asked to confess and receive communion. Padre Pio told him, "Yes, your soul is healed, and now your body will be healed." And so it was. Dr. Ricciardi became a great friend of Padre Pio, and he lived for many more years.
Mr. Rossi, stay here another month and you'll be able to write 10 books.
That's right.
I must go because my son is waiting for me.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, dear.
Goodbye. An interesting story.
Yes.
How do you spend your days here?
Oh, dear sir, my life is regulated by the hours of the monastery. At dawn, the Mass of Padre Pio, and then all the morning, thousands of jobs for the house, the guests, the homeless. Would you like some? It's the best wine in Puglia. Go ahead.
Yes, please, yes.
Please.
What moved you most about Padre Pio?
His capacity to bear so much suffering. The physical pain of the crucifixion, the moral pain in reading the sins of the people, the spiritual pain in seeing the apostasy of the churches, and a society growing farther away from God. And above all, the persecutions of evil people that he bore in silence and with patience. It was through this suffering that Father attained the miracles that the Lord granted him.
I understand. But, are there other things that move you about him?
There are so many things that move those who get near Padre Pio. But above all, his ability to see into the depths of the human heart.
You have been a great help to me. I thank you. Thank you very much. And I won't take any more of your time. I imagine you have many things to do. I hope to see you tomorrow.
Yes, certainly. Okay.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And good luck with your work.
Thank you.
Padre Pio is planning to build a hospital. 3 of his spiritual sons are helping him with this project.
It was through this suffering that Father attained the miracles that the Lord granted him.
One of the most painful and most frequent phenomenon in Padre Pio's life is the assault of the demons, which he often calls ugly things. Assaults that are not only interior, but also exterior, with real physical impact, with noises, shaking, things breaking violently, screams.
Good night.
Good night.
Watch out for the fire.
Good night.
It's really scary.
And there's no lack of unusual phenomenon.
Tell me at least one, Father.
One night in 1918, Padre Pio was relaxing in a room at the monastery when suddenly an unknown man appeared to him in a black cloak.
Who are you? How'd you get in?
Padre Pio, I am Pietro di Mauro. I died in this monastery at a time when it was still a shelter, 10 years ago, September 18, 1908, in cell number 4. That night, I fell asleep with a lit cigar, and the whole straw mattress caught fire. I suffocated and burned to death. I'm in purgatory. I need prayers to be saved. The Lord permitted me to leave and ask for help.
Stay calm. Tomorrow I will celebrate Holy Mass for your deliverance.
Some days later, Father Paulino, the head of the monastery, was intrigued and wanted to check. He went to the registry of the community of San Giovanni Rotondo. He got permission to consult the registry of the dead in 1908. In the registry of those who died in the month of September, on the 18th, he found it written.
Oh, here it is. On September 18, 1908, in the shelter fire, Pietro di Mauro died.
It gives me the chills. Excuse me, Father. Were you always Padre Pio's spiritual director?
No, not always. The first was Father Benedetto from San Marco in Lamis. He was here for 12 years, and it was he who had the initiative to convince Padre Pio to write about his stigmata.
And do you know if I can have a copy of this letter?
Wait a moment. It's from Padre Pio.
It's blood.
Yes, it's blood.
It smells sweet.
It's typical Padre Pio's blood. This is the letter that Padre Pio wrote to Father Benedetto, where he spoke of the stigmata.
Ah, thank you.
San Giovanni Rotondo, October 22nd, 1918. My dear Father, how can I answer your question as to how my crucifixion came about? My God, what confusion and what humiliation I face in having to show what has been produced in this wretched creature of yours. It was the morning of the 20th of last month, in the choir, after the celebration of Holy Mass, when I was surprised by a sudden relaxation similar to a sweet sleep. All my internal and external senses, and even the very faculties of my soul, were steeped in indescribable quiet. During all of this, there was total silence in and around me. I was filled with great peace and abandonment that overwhelmed me. All this happened in a flash. And while all this was occurring, I saw a mysterious figure in front of me, similar to the one seen the night of August 5th. The sight terrified me. What I felt in that instant, I can't even tell you. I felt like I was dying, and I would have. If the Lord hadn't intervened to support my heart, which seemed to leap from my chest. This image retreated, and I noticed my hands, feet, and ribs were pierced. There was streaming blood. Imagine the suffering that I experienced then and continue to experience almost every day. The wound in my heart pours blood profusely, especially from Thursday night until Saturday.
He has had the stigmata for 26 years. It's incredible. I've read various doctors' theories, and it seems that it's scientifically impossible to prove this fact.
The first visits were in the months of May and July of 1919. He was observed by Professor Luigi Romanelli, chief doctor of the Civil Hospital of Barletta. Then, during that same month of July of the next year, Giorgio Festa followed with another visit. I think it was, yes, exactly, in July 1920. But this time he was also accompanied by Professor Luigi Romanelli. They were a true torture for Padre Pio, who submitted himself with obedience and humility and showed his bloody wounds to the doctors.
This mysterious person often appeared to him during transverberation. The visions became more frequent. Surely you would know better than anyone else.
The ecstasies of Padre Pio are continuous and can often occur 1, 2, 3 times a day, sometimes more, and can last an hour, even 2.5. In these moments, Padre Pio talks to Jesus, to the Virgin Mary, to the saints, to St. Francis. And when I say that he talks, I mean that there's a dialogue like we are having right now.
Allow me one last question. In 1919, when the ecclesiastic authority began its first inquiries, the word spread that Padre Pio might be transferred. So the threatening crowd gathered in front of the monastery to prevent it. You must have been there.
No, I wasn't there that time. I can't give you a direct testimony. I wasn't at San Giovanni Rotondo. But I can confirm. The police had to step in, and the prefect of Foggia.
One of the most spectacular cases was definitely the healing of little Gemma di Giorgi, born blind without pupils. No science in the world could restore sight to a blind girl without pupils. Her grandmother managed to convince the very skeptical family to lead the girl to the stigmatized friar from Gargano. Little Gemma, before Padre Pio, felt the hand of the Father who made the sign of the cross on her eyes. The next day, at home, the girl regained her vision forever. But the biggest surprise was that nothing about Gemma's eyes changed. All the tests confirmed it. It remains true to this day that little Gemma sees perfectly.
Please, let them through.
Here. A blessing. A special blessing for the family. Thank you, thank you.
Hello, Padre Pio. I love you.
I love you, too. Maria, you must tell my brother Michele to visit me when you meet him tonight, okay? Thank you.
Yes, Father, but I don't know if Michele is back from Pietrelcina.
Oh, yes. He will arrive shortly.
Yes, Father.
A letter from a woman who is very sick.
It will be done.
Thank you, thank you.
Now it's your turn.
I'm scared that I won't tell him.
What? Padre Pio was so nice.
But you don't even know him. Do you know that he refuses to absolve 1 out of every 3 persons? Sometimes he doesn't even allow them to tell their sins. It is he who lists them one by one. I want to leave.
I know that Padre Pio doesn't accept excuses from anyone during confession.
Keep quiet.
Please be quiet. We're in church. How long does he hear confession?
About 16 to 18 hours. More than 100 confessions a day. On the average, about 4,000 a month.
I saw Padre Pio take a letter that a follower gave him, keep it in his hand for a second, and without opening it, he was able to tell what favors the man had come to ask, as if he had read it.
And then?
And then, that's it.
What? That's it? You know very well that's not all.
But, Father...
Mr. Hurry. People are waiting. Have you ever heard of the 6th commandment? Thou shalt not commit adultery.
But what should I do?
Convert. Respect the 6th commandment. Leave the woman you've lived with for 3 years and go back to your family. If not, you will never again answer to me, but to the Lord.
Tell me, Father, how did you know?
You'll do it?
Yes. Yes, I'll do it.
So return once you've done it.
Father, one last thing.
Tell me.
Professor Lunade from Florence sent me to tell you that according to science, yours is a case of suggestion. You thought of Jesus crucified so much that the stigmata appeared.
You must tell Professor Lunade the next time you see him to think hard about bull. We'll see if he grows horns. Go with God.
Thank you, Father.
Father, Padre Pio, please, Father. Padre Pio, Padre Pio. Father, Father, a letter from my mother.
Everything will be fine. Just tell her to keep praying.
Padre Pio, give me your blessing. Please give me your blessing for my daughter. Your blessing, your blessing.
Padre Pio, I have to have an operation.
No. No operation. You have to obey your superiors. You gave your word before the Lord. Those are serious matters. I say this for your own good.
Father, we beseech you to pray for our dear sister who is extremely ill.
Stay calm. Everything will be okay.
Father, why haven't you absolved me?
Now calm down. Stop crying, because I want you to be worthy of heaven, not hell. Come back tomorrow and make a real confession.
Padre Pio, help me. Padre Pio, I've been this way for 30 years.
Throw down the crutches.
My God.
Throw down your crutches.
Padre Pio reminded the people of their forgotten sins, their most secret and intimate guilt. So he doesn't just practice the phenomenon of reading thoughts. He reads the conscience, because many times there are guilty acts that even the penitent forgets. Blind who see, paralyzed to walk, sick who are cured, Freemasons, atheists, and disbelievers who convert. A formidable power comes from the stigmatized priest.
Hello, Maria.
Hello, Father.
Hello, Maria Paz.
Hello.
Where are you going with all those letters?
Oh, these are only those that arrived yesterday and today for Padre Pio. I'm giving them to the monks at the monastery so they can respond to the most common ones.
Does he receive many?
Last year, more than 22,000.
22,000?
How's your work going?
Very well. I'm gathering very moving testimonies.
Good.
But what are they doing?
They're considering the possibility of building Padre Pio's hospital here. The land has been donated.
Incredible. They'll build it.
No, it's not incredible. It will happen. If Padre Pio wants the hospital, it means that God wants it. And if God wants it, it's heaven sent and it must happen. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Thanks. Same to you.
Padre Pio's letter. Thank you.
Pay attention to the wind next time. If I hadn't stepped on it, my letter would have ended up in the valley.
Oh, it was you.
The way that I regularly pray is this. As soon as I start to pray, I feel my soul begin to gather itself in peace and tranquility in a way words cannot explain. The senses are suspended, with the exception of hearing, which sometimes isn't suspended. However, usually this sense doesn't bother me. I must confess, even if there is a lot of noise around me, it doesn't disturb me in the least. I often cry tears of pain for my infidelity, and tears of tenderness for having a father so good and so attentive who calls me to his presence.
Those around Padre Pio are asked to avoid every rumor. He shall not celebrate Mass at a fixed hour, and it must be in private. He shall not bless the people, and for no reason shall he show the stigmata, or speak of them, or let the people kiss them. This is what the text of the Holy Office said on June 2nd, 1922. But as yet I do not have an opinion, since I haven't met Padre Pio. I leave next week for San Giovanni Rotondo. But are you not in a particularly hard position in the eyes of this friar who has dedicated his entire life to his mission and still suffers in praise?
You see, the growing popularity of Padre Pio didn't only bring to San Giovanni Rotondo the crowd of sincere followers brought together by faith, I mean, but unfortunately also suspicious people, fanatics, people who are not always of a positive attitude. And the wickedness of certain people, together with the bad faith and suspicion, were somehow able to bother the Holy Office.
Yes, but I had the impression that the Holy Office had condemned him with ease for a rather long period. 10 years wasn't long enough to convince them that this man worked for the common good?
Unfortunately, not everyone loves Padre Pio.
But how is it possible not to love a man of such great generosity and great goodness, and with all the conversions that he performed in the world?
Look, our Lord Jesus Christ did good deeds, and they even crucified him. I'm convinced that if Padre Pio suffers the passion of Christ in his body, then all aspects of him suffer. He suffers in his soul, and not just on the wood of the cross.
But it is the church that condemned him, the church he gave his whole life to.
No, sir. He wasn't condemned. Because Padre Pio was not kept from celebrating the Mass or from exercising his functions as a priest. He was only asked to exercise them with attention so that we could verify if these accusations, well, were or not valid. Then, in 1932, everything returned to normal. Padre Pio was able to return to his devoted souls. Every day, people come to us saying they have seen the Blessed Mother, cases of people who claim to have had visions. So, you must realize that 98% of the cases involve people with mental and psychological problems. And you have to realize that if we weren't attentive enough to sift and get to the bottom of each case, this congregation would be practically discredited. And then what would happen? Inevitably, the faithful would be deceived. Instead, when it is a work of God, then the thing I like to say in these cases is that no one can stop it. Not even this congregation.
Yes, I understand. Even if there's something that's still unclear to me. Excellency, I thank you for having received me.
Sure. Good luck with your work. Oh!
Excellence, what a joy to see you.
Father Tasicho. Come. How is your work going? Tell me a bit about this story.
That's what the prelate told me.
Padre Pio always accepted the Holy Office's orders with great obedience, but above all with immense pain. He was a true and unstoppable martyr. Also for his superiors at the monastery, it was very difficult to carry out these orders due to Father's growing popularity. But since Padre Pio had met these terrible tests and the most tremendous test of the crucifixion, he was an edifying example for us. Not to mention slander, false accusations, and isolation from the faithful. Out of all this, Padre Pio came out a stronger man. All this had exalted his virtues and made our faith much stronger. For us, he was a point of reference.
Well, thank goodness this is all in the past. We hope that in the future, they let this holy man work, so he can dedicate his time to the souls. I give you infinite thanks for your time.
Have a good trip. God bless you.
That Mass, how can I describe it? I've never in my life seen a priest celebrate the Eucharist with such understanding. Seeing him is like being transported away from space and time. Ettore, you're not an emotional man, but seeing that pierced hand consecrating gives an indescribable impression.
Eigitur clementissime Pater, per Iesum Christum Filium Tu, Dominum nostrum, supplices, rogamus, ac petimus, uti accepta habeas, et benedicas, ec dona, ec munera, ec sancta sacrificia illibata. In primis, que tibi offerimus pro Ecclesia Tua Sancta Cattolica, quam pacificare, custodire, adunare, et reggere dignis toto ordine terrare. Una cum famulo Tuo Papa nostro Pio, et antistica nostro Andrea, et omnibus orthodoxis, ab catholica.
On September 22nd, 1968, Padre Pio celebrated his last Mass. On the night of the 23rd, at 2:30 a.m., the prophet of Gargano left this world after more than 50 years of priesthood and of the stigmatization. His testimony of faith, his supernatural gifts, his numerous miracles, and his founding of the Home of Relief from Pain make Padre Pio one of the greatest symbols of our times. On March 20th, 1983, the beatification process began for Padre Pio from Pietrelcina. In the meantime, his fame and followers have spread all over the world.